Yeah, I think, just to speak, just because I haven't spoken, I probably kind of reviewed it. I know in the initial meeting I was real excited because we were hiring someone that could help understand property, move property, mitigate changes, and even talk to bonding. Like, those are the 3 jobs I remember. And 2 of them seem to have disappeared, the mitigating changes. I think you gave an explanation why that.
I can talk about the bond. You
might want to mention that too.
Okay, I was told on Sunday, in that first Sunday meeting, stand down on the bond, don't do any more research, and stop.
Someone told you that or something?
And then Terry on the bond.
Okay. And so with those 2 things kind of disappearing, yeah, you know, and without getting communication, I brought it up to, I figured the communication was going to, all the communication was going to Sussman on stuff, and that they were the cog coming, and then we had a conference call last week and kind of brought that up. It's been so frustrating not ever having communication, and the Sussman says, well, the communication wasn't really, it's like they weren't, it wasn't that they were disseminating communication, that there wasn't much from the Obsidian, because, you know, we're going, okay, this much has been done. You know, we saw kind of an overall, someone sent us a copy of the, you know, after you guys made the presentation, someone sent us a copy of the PowerPoints, and that was kind of an overall, I was still in the, it's like, gosh, what's being done? You know, I mean, other than selling this thing to the creditors community. And I think that's what, you know, our mistrust felt like, you know, you guys were hired and that there was a relationship, a little bit of a relationship established, and it disappeared, and then it felt like everything was towards the creditors, and then, oh, they got us now because they got the creditors here, and so, and we felt we had like Tim was saying, we don't really have a lot of, I mean, really our motivation is the same as yours. It's for the creditors, and why aren't we being used in any way like, hey, we're looking at this property, you know, can you know, and we offered up our assistance, and I mean, I totally realize the creditors don't trust us, but it seems like you guys could have used this in some way and communicated. Now, that was, I guess, the frustrating thing, and so the farther it went along, the more I felt, oh, you know, I got a client here. The more I felt that there was like almost like a plot, like you know, and anyway, that's where, and that's kind of already been discussed by other people, but that was there was a plot all along to, okay, we got the money from these guys, now here's our plot to do this, and then, and not working out like a solution with lots of players involved.
Yeah, so that is not the case.
Mm-hmm.
From day one. I mean, the other thing that we identified, Friday night, Saturday, we're talking the day that you filed and the next day, we identified we have to have a control mechanism over the property so that we can immediately start to act on the property. Because as you know, in the format they're in, it's virtually impossible to act on. And so,
that's,
I can explain it,
Okay.
but it's virtually impossible to act on.
Mm-hmm.
Because you guys control them. They're not controlled by. They're not controlled
you
by.
don't control anything right now, Kevin.
Right.
Oh, we have these properties, if they're listed for sale, if they get a buyer, the money goes to the bankruptcy estate. I mean, if they weren't under control, and we've been told you don't transfer anything.
But those are different issues. And can I walk through those separately for you? Because those are different. There's different reasons for that. From our standpoint, it's a control issue. It's not a because of the litigation. I understand that you guys have been told don't transfer anything. Right. Okay.
Right.
But that's not us. You have to understand that's not us. We're trying to get control so that we can put the creditors, the people that are stopping the action, and calm them down. Does that make sense? What they want?
But
Right.
you know,
It seems
doesn't make any. You know, if the creditors were concerned about, they say we'd stop our actions so that we can move on, but they're not. they just keep going.
Okay, guys, let's start at the very beginning. We start at the beginning. The perception by the creditors, okay, and you have to deal with reality on this, is that.
You got a perception here, and you gotta deal with that too. But go ahead.
I understand. Look, I'm willing to be open, but we gotta go all the way back to the beginning and then work our way back through. Okay? Because you're right, this is a lack of communication, and I think you're getting a very incorrect impression. And so I want to go back to the beginning and explain what's going on and what we're having to deal with. Okay? The creditor's perception is that you took their money. Okay? That's how they think about it.
We understand that.
I understand, but if you want to go back to the beginning, we got to work through with it. Okay? So their perception is they need to get control over your assets because they have a complete lack of trust. Okay? So that's their perception. Okay? So some of those creditors go out and hire attorneys to essentially make sure that nothing gets done, and in my view, not a very practical way to handle things, which I think was your point, is that it's not a practical way to handle things, but legally, that's what they're doing. So, as I understand it, and I'm not asking you what your attorneys told you, but as I understand it, your attorneys said, guys, don't stand down on this stuff. So, you know, so what our goal was, literally on that Friday night and that Saturday, was to come up with an overall control solution that would put the creditors in a position where they would be comfortable enough to adopt a practical approach. The practical approach is, let's get this stuff, look, you got claims here. You don't want to add anything to those. You got assets over here. You want to maximize the value of these and apply them to here. That's your goal. That's their goal. That's our goal. We don't have a different goal. Okay? So to do that, it's not just practical, right? We still got to do it in a legal format, whether we like it or not. We've got to do it in a legal format. So we need to get control over those properties and what. So what we proposed day one was day two actually, was a assignment for the benefit of creditors. We said, look, why don't we do an assignment for the benefit of creditors? And we said, here's how it would work, and we started to talk about it, and again, it kind of got tabled. And we said, well, what do you want us to do on this? Because we got to have control. We can't do anything. We can't do anything. You can't do anything until we have control.